In the video today, I will be showing you how to draw short fur. So this is the sample of short fur that I've done. This is the one I had started in class. As you can see, short fur is different than what we will be doing next week, which is long fur. So for short fur, the way we started is the students all drew one big circle at the top of a page and then an oval at the bottom. Now for this, it's important to have all of your pencils because to draw short fur, you're going to be working from light to dark. So what does that mean? That means you're going to start with a hard lead that makes a really light mark, any H pencil or a low B. So for this one, I have, and if you don't remember, like on the inside of my container, it shows what are the lightest to darkest. So I'm going to look for my H pencil. I have one H pencil in this set. You want to have a really nice sharp tip on your pencil. Where's mine? Here it is. A really nice sharp tip on your pencil. If you need to, get out the pencil sharpener. So, a nice sharp tip so you can make a very light mark. Now the way we make marks is not even. I see this a lot with my students, this like line, line, line. That's not what we're doing. We're pressing hard and kicking our pencil out. Kick, kick, kick. So you notice, kick, kick. These go from dark to light and they end in a point, which is different than this even line. So that's the one you don't want. This is the one you do. So we start with light amount of pressure. And we don't make marks like this because that's too uniform. You kind of want to make them in clumps, more like that. Okay? So, and you are going with the contour of your shape, and you can go outside of this mark, the edge. You want your fur to go past it, and if you'll notice, I am leaving a lot of space. And this is important because this is only our first pass. So with short fur, you start by drawing every little mark. And you'll see our little pieces that are kind of got just this little flick out here outside of that mark. And I don't have big stripes, none of this. You don't want, I see a lot of this in kids, stripe, 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 stripe. You don't want that. You want a much more natural and random pattern. And then as you get towards the bottom, the fur is still going to follow the contour of our shape. Remember, we're always creating this illusion here. So that's kind of our first pass. I don't know how well this will focus for you. That's kind of our first pass. Really just kind of random little marks, always using this kind of kick line. Okay, that's the first one. Then you'll take your blending tool and you very, very, very gently, still with the contour of your shape, want to blend that, just soften those lines up. Okay. Then we're going to take a slightly softer pencil and put in something a little darker. So I had my H. Now I'm probably going to go to my 2B. So 2B is just your regular everyday writing pencil. So you have one of those. Now here you're going to start filling in a little bit more those lines. Maybe you're getting some shadows to this that's coming off the edge, overlapping here. This one you're just kind of filling in some of those gaps. So that second pass goes a lot faster. Once you get that, some random kind of, oops, loose hairs here. Once you fill in some of those gaps, again, you are going to take your blending tool and soften that up, always following the contour of your shape. So we start to see our short fur really starting to come into focus here. And then, so we have a good layer of short fur. We're going to take an even softer pencil. I have my 9B. And again, nice, you want a good sharp tip if you can get one here. And then you're going to start adding in some shadows. And your shadows are going to be more about shapes in your picture than the lines like we've been doing. So shadows fall under and start to give some interesting features. So we have shadows here. Interesting features to our fur. There we go. Just a little bit of shadow. Again, back to my blending tool. And then I have two more passes. I am going to go back with this darker pencil and add in a couple of really dark but defined pieces of fur. We've softened it up a lot. So here I'm going to put a little bit of definition back in. make it look a little more realistic so that people can pull out those individual pieces of fur. Okay, so once you get all the way through that, the very last step is cutting in highlights. So I have sharpened this eraser. You can see I used it in class. I've sharpened this eraser to points, and you can use this to call it cutting in highlights, where I'm just creating some defined white. I also use this to really help break up some of my edges, if you can still see any of the under marks from the original circle. So the example I did in class was, if you have a really dark space and you can cut these lines in it, that really helps break up give some white space to your drawing. And if you overdo it and you think, oh, that's too much white space, that's fine. Just take a pencil and put a little bit over it. So there you go. If places are a little too dark, like maybe that's a little too dark, some of these maybe shadows, you can brighten things up a little like that using your kneaded eraser. So that was our tutorial for short fur. That's pretty dense short fur. This is a little longer, a little more fluffy. It's just a matter of practice to see kind of which style you're going for, right? But it's all the same technique. These shadows, leaving space in your first pass is really important. And so you want to be able to fill in for homework. They were trying to do the whole ball, right? And of course, as you come forward in the middle, the short appears shorter because you see less of it for shortening, right? So all of a sudden your fur looks like this. You see that? It's just itty bitty tiny, right? But the same thing, you're doing multiple passes. So that is short fur. Practice, you can see how many times I've done this, right? So, all right, I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and lots of practice for short fur, because next week we do long fur. Bye.